And we are live. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing great today. I'm Rodolphe. I'm going to be your host for today, and I couldn't be more excited to spend a little bit of time with you to think about how to land a job at a remote startup. So, a lot of you are connecting from everywhere, and this is going to be great because I've got people connecting from the US, people connecting from Europe, people connecting from all different places here. I see South America, I see Australia. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And without further ado, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I want to spend as much time as possible today talking about a topic of interest, which is how to land a remote job at a startup. So let's do this together, folks. And here we go. Cool. Welcome again to this presentation. I'm Rodolphe from Remotive. And before we get started, I want to say a few things to make sure that you and I are in the right room because your time is very valuable. So I want to make sure that you're going to get maximum amount of value out of this training. So first, you are in the right place if first you want to work remotely at a startup and you're committed to finding a remote job. As you've probably seen, this entire training, this time we're going to spend together is absolutely designed towards startups. And I'm also going to tell you techniques that work if you work for them as well. So this is not a hack. This is not a quick method. This is a bunch of things that have helped me through the years on how to land job at remote startups. So you are in the right place right here, right now, watching this training if you have a relevant identified skill or expertise. In other words, if you know exactly how you can assist a company. Maybe you work as a customer service person. Maybe you work in marketing. Maybe you work in data. Maybe you work in engineering or design even. So you can do a variety of things. This training will be helpful for you. You just need to know what it is you can add to a company. Also, I want to stress the fact that this training will be helpful for you whether you've applied to a remote job already or whether it's a very first time. It doesn't matter really. And without further ado, I want to extend a very warm welcome to all those good people that are here up on the screen. You know, when last night I was checking numbers for this webinar, I was absolutely astonished. Over 200 people signed up for this webinar. Here are some of the names, from some of your names, of you good people that decided to join us today. So it's a partial list. I don't have everyone in there, but I was certainly very excited to get to meet you all. And I started asking questions in our Facebook group. I started asking questions of location. So I was curious to see where everybody was from. So I had seen people from Austria, people from Brazil, all different states in the US, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, California, and also from various places, Africa, Europe, South America, Asia, and Australia. So my name is Rodolphe, and you've seen me on camera for just a little bit before we got started. I really want all the attention to be on the content, so I don't typically spend a lot of time filming myself. I'd rather try to introduce this content to the best I can. And the reason we're all here today, the reason we're all gathering this webinar is to learn the 3 key mistakes to avoid when looking for a remote job and what to do instead. So how can we improve there? And I want to thank you again to take time out of your day to attend this, to help you achieve this goal, to help you land a job at a remote startup. I'm going to do a few things for you today. First, I'm going to facilitate this webinar, but also at the end of this, we will have a giveaway. And in this giveaway, for someone who's present with us today and watching this webinar live, I will be answering any 3 questions of your choice. Within reason, I will do, for one person who will pick at the very end of this presentation, I'll answer any 3 questions of their choice. That could be on business, that could be on remote work, or on anything else. Also, I want you to know that I will be sharing my slides. So I tend to talk quite fast. If there's anything you are missing during this presentation, fear not. You will access slides at the end of the presentation. I've also prepared a cheat sheet for you. So if you check your emails, you have a fill in the blank cheat sheet that you can fill along with me through the webinar. And I'll also send you a summary after our chat. Last but not least, there'll be a surprise announcement at the end of this webinar. So I really hope that you stick with us till the very end. So first, why am I talking to you about remote jobs in the first place? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit, not too much. I want this to be a very helpful training to you. It's not all about me. It's just about sharing what I've learned about remote work, okay? Back in 2011, I was working at Google, and I took the picture you're looking at right now, the picture of Sergey Brin and Larry Page, the two co-founders of Google. I took this picture because I was present on campus in Mountain View. And at the time, I was staying at a hotel in downtown San Francisco, and each morning I will get on a shuttle, and the shuttle will take me to Mountain View. And I will be commuting every single day to the office. The commute will take you about an hour and a half to 2 hours one way on the good days. And I couldn't believe that I was spending so much time commuting for work. So I started to ask myself more questions. Why do we work this way? Is there any other way to work for us technology professionals? Do we really need to commute every day like I did for 3 to 4 hours a day? Do we always need to go and work in offices or campus from 9 in the morning to 5 p.m. in the afternoon? Couldn't we just live and work differently and organize ourselves in a different manner? So I continued working in this corporate environment for just a little bit until I decided that I had about enough. And in 2013, I decided to start devoting years to remote work. I wanted to crack the code of what makes people great at remote work. How can you get more freedom from your work? And I came across this quote from a person named DHH, who is the founder of a startup named Basecamp. He said, the best people to hire are not in San Francisco. They are all over the world. And by the way, I mean no disrespect to my friends in San Francisco. I just mean that talent is everywhere. Look at the variety of people attending this very training today. It doesn't matter what your zip code is. You can still be a very valuable professional for a tech company. So I want to tell you a little bit more about why remote work is so awesome. For me, it was very awesome to start working remotely because no commute meant I had flexible hours. I started to regain hours throughout my day, hours where I could hang out with my friends and do more things, for instance. Also, I could leave from the place that made me the happiest. Sometimes it meant visiting my family. Other time it meant taking a trip to a foreign country. Number 3, I got to spend more time with the people I love. Earlier this year, I managed to find some time to go on a trip with my dad. My dad and I, we went backpacking for 2 weeks in Southeast Asia to discover the beautiful country of Myanmar. This is something I achieved because I could manage to book vacation by working remotely, and I could arrange my work around this time off. So effectively, it really helped me spend more time with the people I love. And finally, it helped me work my own way. When I started making the rules about how I worked and my own framework, it felt very liberating to me. But this journey was also a tricky one because, of course, there were mistakes. Of course, there were setbacks along the way. When I started to look for remote work in 2013, I messed up so many times. What you're looking at right now is That Careers Guy. This was my former blog. It didn't look great, and the content wasn't awesome. To tell you the whole story, I was struggling. I was struggling because I was reading many books. I was listening to a few people that had different opinions on the topic, and I wasn't too sure how to go about this. How does this remote job thing work in the first place? So I was wondering about this. I was wondering specifically about those 4 questions. How do I find the best remote jobs? I had no idea how to apply so that they'd consider me, so that they'd read my application. I wasn't too sure about the best way to network remotely either. How do you network with someone when you cannot walk into a building and shake someone's hand? What about remote interviews? What should I do? I was a little bit puzzled and I wasn't sure what to do next. And in my journey to learn more about remote work, there were 2 pivotal moments. The first one was when I met this guy. His name is Leo, and Leo is a co-founder of a startup named Buffer.com. Buffer is a startup with about 80 employees, and they're quite famous because they're very vocal about remote work. And in 2014, I joined this team. I joined this company. I was hired by them. And about this, Leo had to say, it's truly a remarkable story when I think about how Rodolphe first reached out to us at Buffer and how we eventually became part of the team. You see, what happened is that through trials and errors, through months of thoughts, of negotiation, of back and forth, I finally managed to get a remote job at Buffer.com. And when I did, the startup co-founder was very impressed with the way I'd done it. And then I spent some more time trying to think about how I landed this job and how I can help more people do just the same thing. Here's a picture of me in 2014 on the bottom left corner working at Buffer.com. This picture was taken in New York City. And on the top right corner, the tall guy is Leo. And meeting Leo was great for me because it helped me go from a hunch. My hunch was how to apply to remote startup, to a system, to a process, to a great way to systemize how to do this. And as a result, I created Remotive.io. Remotive.io is how you probably signed up to this webinar today. It's a way for me to experiment, to talk to a lot of people that have already been looking for a remote job and see what works and what doesn't as well. So through those 2 pivotal moments, I really got a lot better about how to help people land remote jobs. In the short amount of 3 years, I reviewed thousands of remote workers' applications, helping me catch what was great and what was not so great about each and every application. I also interviewed tons of remote workers as an HR person in a remote startup because I helped Buffer grow from 15 to 80 people. And finally, I created Remotive.io, which is a large community of remote workers. In my spare time, I also teach at business school, and I help students land jobs. So today, Remotive has about 25,000 people. It was a voted first product on Product Hunt, which is pretty cool. It has people from 185 countries and a very active community. Which brings us back here to today. And the message I want to share before we get into the 3 mistakes together is that if I learn a couple of things in my years to figure out remote working as a candidate and as a professional, is that first, it takes baby steps to get ready to apply. It's a very incremental process. Second, overthinking is not a requirement. If you find a process that works for you, it'll be dramatically helpful for you to get ready to apply. You don't have to overthink this. And third, it's very important to get out of your own way. I myself got lost so many times in countless articles trying to find ways to do things, when in truth, others had done it before I did. So I could have gotten a lot more advice, but I fought for so many months to get my own remote jobs. Okay? So before I jump into the 3 mistakes, I want to tell you about some myth that we all have on remote work. Because you see, if you and I don't spend 3 or 4 minutes dispelling a few myths that are present around remote work, I can't quite tell you about the 3 mistakes because we need a good understanding of where we're at right now. Those myths are very important and I want to dispel them right now. The first myth is, I cannot land a remote job because I don't have remote experience. Well, that isn't quite true. Most people that land remote jobs never worked remotely before. I've seen it happen over and over again. people that have the ability to demonstrate that they can collaborate with people don't necessarily need prior remote experience to land a remote job. Second question, and I see tons of international people watching this today, just like myself. I'm a Frenchman. No one will hire me if I live outside the US. This isn't true. While some listings require you to be in the US, so many different listings let you live and work from anywhere else. I myself worked as the director of finance and operation of Buffer.com for 3 years. And for the entire time, I was living outside of the US, although the company is registered in the US. So it's totally doable. 3, I'm not an engineer, so I won't find a remote job. That's not true either. I'm not an engineer, and I did find a remote job. And so many people around me working design, working marketing, working customer support are doing the same thing. Number 4, self-taught candidates cannot land remote jobs. So this one is a little bit crazy because some of the most talented people I've ever worked with are self-taught candidates. Being self-taught means that you picked yourself up and you learned a skill from scratch. This is absolutely great, and it's even very much prized in remote team. We love people that are self-taught. Number 5, there's a perfect time to apply. So many people email me and say, well, I'm holding off because I want to apply on September 1st, or I want to apply next year. There's no such thing as a perfect time to apply. There's a perfect way to apply, and I want to tell you about that. But there's no perfect time to apply. And number 6 is not a myth, it's more of a mindset. I don't know where to start at all. That happens a lot. And that's exactly why I want to tell you more about how you can potentially get started today. Now, let's get into the mistakes. And the mistakes I'm going to share with you today are based on my personal experience sitting at both sides of the table as a candidate and as a recruiter as well, but also from hundreds of email conversations and interviews I had with Remotive subscribers. So without further ado, let's jump in the mistakes. Mistake number 1, this is a crazy one. So many people tell me and email me, I'm a jack of all trades. Rodolphe, I'm a jack of all trades. I can do anything. I can help a startup with literally anything. And truth be told, when people email this to remote teams, it's not helping them. In fact, it's always working against them. Because when I'm a recruiter in a remote team, I don't want to hire a generalist. It's not very helpful for me to do just that. I want someone to come and help me solve a particular problem. It's really hard for me to just hire someone to help. If I'm leading a team of 5, 10, 20 people, a generalist is just way too broad. So what we need to do, you and I, is to define what it is you do here. Here's a meme from the movie Office Space, one of my favorite movies of all time. It talks about remote work, in fact. It's from 1999. If you haven't watched it in a while, if you've never watched it, I really recommend you do. There's a line in the movie that goes, what would you say you do here? When I'm hiring for a job, a remote job, I'm always going to ask that to a candidate. What would you say you do here? How can you help? How can you help the team tomorrow? If I hire you today, and today is Friday, today is Thursday, how are you going to make an impact in my team coming Monday morning? You know? Because the truth is, remote teams, they hire for impact. They hire to answer the question, how can you help them today? And that's a very different mindset from large traditional companies, for instance. If you're a large company, you can just hire a bunch of people, and you can just hire 10 people and say, well, those people are going to be trained for 2 or 3 years, and I hired them for their potential. At the end of the day, they may not be contributing today, but they'll be contributing in 2 or 3 years down the line. Whereas as a remote team, it's impossible. I want you to contribute come Monday morning. So you and I need to work on being a lot more focused on what you say you do. I want to give you 2 concrete examples. I'll give you my own example as Rodolphe, as myself, as what I did. And then I'll give you an example from an engineer standpoint. So the first example is this. If you want to know what I do and you check out my LinkedIn, it will probably say something pretty broad, such as I do business development. But you and I need to be a lot more specific if we want to get hired here. So what would be better if I tell you about my craft? What is my craft? What do I enjoy doing day in, day out? When I jump out of bed, what do I enjoy doing? I enjoy selling SaaS products. All of a sudden, I'm a lot more specialized, I'm a lot more targeted, I'm a lot more relevant because I can say what it is I do for a company. Even better, you want to get to the sweet spot. And the sweet spot is overlaying what you do as a professional together with what they need. And that has to be super specific. Here's the example for me. Buffer needs an inbound software as a service, business to business sales professional. And it happens to be exactly what I do. You see, 50% of the story is knowing what you do as a professional, and the other 50% is what the startup currently needs. When those two get to fit, you know that you can help them and you have a strong value proposition to go and make a case for yourself and to try and get hired. That's why I have a little funnel picture on the right-hand side, is because you go from very broad to very specific, to the sweet spot. Here is another example for an engineer, for instance. If your LinkedIn says, I'm a front-end engineer with 3 years experience, what would be better? What I really want to see as a recruiter is, what's your craft? What do you enjoy doing day in, day out? You may say, I enjoy using React to improve websites, which is pretty great. But the sweet spot really is, how can you help me, company, starting Monday morning at 9 a.m.? What can they gain from you, in other words? You could say, as an applicant, something like, your FAQ is broken. Here's how I would fix it and improve it as well. This gives me an immediate picture on how helpful you'll be to my team. Let's recap this together. It's all about them. When you're applying to a company, you're trying to help a company. You're trying to improve a company and make it better. So how can you help them from day one? Okay? How do you market yourself to them in particular? Because remember, remote teams hire for impact, meaning what you can do on Monday morning. So that implies that you need to be niching down. You need to be super specific in order to fit in a box so that they understand what you do. And if you say, well, Rodolphe, I have multiple talents, I'm a gifted person, I'll say that's absolutely fantastic. But when you apply to a job, you need to put one of your talents ahead of the rest. It's perfectly great if you're a multi-potential person. You just need to articulate it simply enough so that you get through the first screening interview, and then you can tell you all about that. And truth of the matter is, if you're not sure how you can help the company that you're applying to today, I would argue that either you don't have an identified skill to potential just now, which is not bad, but you need to work on that, or you don't quite know what the company needs right now. In which case, you need to do your homework to make sure you get to know more about the company before you log an application, okay? So that's mistake number one. That's pretty much what happens. Okay, let's check out mistake number two. Mistake number two is super frequent as well. People use a spray and pray approach. It goes something like this. Most people that email me, they email me saying something like, how many job boards do I need to subscribe to in order to land a job? Or I'm applying to 10 companies per week. Is that enough? And frankly, it's very tricky to apply to so many jobs at the same time, because truth be told, applying for jobs is almost a job in itself. To give you a concrete example of that, I want to make you read an email that I've received recently. Now, it's a very short email. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I just want you to focus on how that feels for you. Okay, if you were in the recruiter's shoes, if you were on the other side of the table, how would you feel about this email? It goes something like this. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm a San Francisco-based full-stack developer with 2 years of commercial experience in Magento. I'm open for offshore on-site developer job. Please let me know if you have any opportunity for me. Thanks, John Doe Developer. You see, typically I see tons of people sending emails as blast. An email like this is not customized. It doesn't have my company name. It doesn't have my first or last name. It's got nothing on me. It's just spam eventually. So John, the person applying, is probably going to get a bit tired very quick of not getting feedback. And I, on the other hand, don't feel very comfortable considering his application given that it's so standard right now. It's not customized at all. Because it's exhausting, you know. The number of jobs to which I've applied and received no response is too damn high. When you spray and pray, it almost never works. And when it does, I've seen people getting hired for the wrong reasons. What I mean by that is some people are getting hired because they were the cheapest in the moment, or they were the only one available. And while this may get you, in with a temporary freelance gig, I'll argue that it's not the best way for you to land a long, worthwhile career-building opportunity that is a full-time employment we're looking for right now, okay? And you also get tired of applying very quickly. So how can we fix this together? How can we improve at this? Well, here's a quote I really enjoy. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. This brilliant quote summed up my mentality very, very well. The key to success very, very often is preparing, and then preparing again. Because if you over-prepare, then you know exactly how to address each and every person across the table. So what I'd like you to do when you consider applying for remote startups is listing 10 remote startups you'd like to work for, no more than 10. If you go to more than 10 at a time, I'll argue that it's very hard to keep tabs, and it's really, really tough to do a quality job just interacting with all those 10. And I'd like you to answer 3 questions for me each time you get to consider those 10 startups. First one is, are you using the product or service? In other words, if you go to a startup and say, hey, startup, I'd like to spend 40, 50, 60 hours per week working for you. And presently, if you're not using the service or the product, then how could you know you'll enjoy it in the first place? So anytime you log an application, it's essential that you know what they do, that you sign up for a free trial, that you read reviews on their product, that you try and buy their product if available. Because you need to commit, you need to commit to a bunch of companies and go deep into what it is they do. If you want to achieve empathy, if you want to understand companies on the inside, you've got to sweat a little. You've got to try out to walk a mile in their shoes. And to do that, you've got to start using their product and services. Second, what do they struggle? What do they need today? That's a simple question, but essentially, it's pretty central, right? What's the big news right now? Are they fundraising? Are they launching a new product? Are they expanding the product and opening up a new region? As in, are they opening up in Asia Pacific, for instance, as a startup? You need to know what's going on. You need to follow executives on Twitter, for instance, to know what's up. And that's what's your best way in. And the last one blends into networking. So I want to talk about that in mistake number 3, because networking is very, very central. So I told you to look at 10 different startups. You may tell me, well, how do I find 10 remote startups to start with? Well, you're in luck today because I spent so many hours together with my brother, and we went all around the internet to find a crafted list for you of 200 startups hiring remotely in 2017. I will send this list over to you by email so that you can check it out. And I really want you to consider what's in the red box right now, because you can see on this slide, I've got a big red arrow pointing towards the red box. The red box says 21 total viewers. You see, when I took the screenshot, there were 21 people, human beings, checking out this list simultaneously. It gives you an idea. That was a year after I published it, by the way. So it's still going after a year and a half now. It gives you an idea of how critical it is to get that information. And I would argue that if you don't know that list, you need to get your hands on it as soon as possible. And you're in luck because I will email this to you, okay? Right, let's talk about mistake number 3 now. No networking. So you're looking at a picture of a person who looks a little bit down, in my opinion. He or she is working by themselves on an ice field by a mountain someplace. So looking for a job is a job. If you go there by yourself, it's very, very tricky. It's very, very tricky to go there without networking at all. Because your job as an applicant, your job is to build trust. And remember, you're applying for a remote job. So you cannot just walk in the building and shake someone's hand. You need to build trust without even meeting people. My dad used to joke with me that when I told him, Dad, I landed a remote job, and you know, it was a pretty good job. I got $98,000 as an initial offer back in 2014. And then he asked me, well, have you ever met any of those people? I said, well, no, I'm working remotely. And then he joked around that the job was maybe not real for some time. But luckily, I got to meet Leo and the rest of the team in the picture I showed you earlier in New York City. So I could show him that I was working with real people. So how do you build trust remotely, huh? How do you build trust? So I want to give you a metaphor to tell a little bit more about how I see trust in general. Let's consider this house here on the picture, this house in the middle. Let's say that you're very lucky. You're going on a vacation for a month, and you're going to be away from your house for an entire month. Now, imagine renting your house to a bunch of people because you need to continue paying rent or you need to pay your mortgage. So you decide to rent your house. And to do that, you're going to do two different things. The first thing is going to be going out on Facebook and asking your friends if they have any friends that may be interested in renting a room. And the second thing you're going to be doing is going up on Craigslist and putting a listing out for your house, okay? Now, if two different people come back to you, the first one is a friend of a friend, and the second one is a stranger whom you've never met that is just connecting with you on Craigslist. And your job is to decide which of those two individuals are going to be staying in your house with all your possessions, all your stuff for an entire month. Which one are you going to choose instinctively? See, most people are going to go with person number one, who's a friend of a friend, because when you have a connection with someone, even if there's just one connection removed, it creates trust. It creates a way for you to put your mind at ease. And that's what we want to do right now. Learn how to network online is a very important skill, because if you know someone that can vouch for your work, then it changes everything. And one of the best way I know to build trust is to build yourself a portfolio as a professional. So here's a screenshot of my friend Adrian. Adrian is a developer. And here's a screenshot of Adrian's portfolio. So you can see a couple of things. I want to start with his name here on the top left corner. Just beneath his name, there are three short sentences written. So first one says JavaScript developer. Second is startup maker. And third is drummer. So here, I get to find links. I get to find content. I get to find information about my friend Adrian. I can see what he's writing on Medium. I can see what he's up to on LinkedIn. I can see his code on GitHub. And I can check out his Twitter as well. But also my friends. And that's important. I can see his music, for instance. I can see that he's a teacher. I can see that he's involved in a online course. And all of that tells me that he's a very dynamic person. Tells me that he has diverse interests. In other words, this is showcasing his personality. And I really like this because it helps me build rapport if I know what Adrian has been up to, okay? Besides, it takes a village to find jobs. And when I think about networking remotely in particular, I myself have been very involved in this. At Remotive, we've been running a Slack community. And this is something I've done earlier this year. We started to share remote jobs. Some of them are available on the internet, and others are exclusive to our communities, whereas members offer to other members the ability to work with them. And we've kept at it. We've kept growing the community that we've had for quite some time. A year ago, we were just two people, Adrian and myself. And today, we're over 640 people spread out throughout the entire world, really. Because it's very helpful to do that in a way that people joining our community oftentimes manage to find work, which we're very excited about. So let's recap on what we've seen together so far. We've seen 3 mistakes. First one is about being a jack of all trades. It's okay for you to be a multi-potential person. You just have to be very specific of what you can offer to a startup when you email a recruiter, okay? The second one is about spray and pray. Applying to remote job through a spray and pray method doesn't work. It doesn't give each and every startup you're applying for the right amount of attention, the right amount of personalization, and the right amount of empathy for them to consider you. And the third mistake is not networking. If you're applying by yourself, if you don't know anyone, if you don't really know where to start, it's very tricky, very tricky to get your application off the ground, okay? And when I say this, oftentimes people reply, well, my friends don't really do this, because most people will only focus on the skills they have, and they'll tell me how many years of experience they have. They tell me I have 3 years of experience, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years. And truth be told, it doesn't matter for me because skills are important but not sufficient. In other words, I don't want you to tell me what you can do for me. I want you to show me what you can do, okay? Because if you don't show me, I cannot trust you. And that's the point, all right? Another bonus mistake that I did not write down, but I'm adding it here, it's running and gunning. The number one reason for which I see people failing to land remote job is not having a system to follow, because they get to waste a lot of time and doing it a lot of money as well by not having a system to follow. Also, not having a community makes it very, very tough to try and shine through. And truthfully, I don't want this to happen to you because I know it takes a lot of time to get right. So now I have a question to ask you all, and I hope to see some answers in the YouTube chat right now. So who wants to avoid being overwhelmed and confused when looking for a remote job? Because I don't want to assume anything. What's important to me is that you get maximum value out of this training. And you see, I've been at this. I've been helping people land remote job for quite some time. And what I could be doing now is sharing a little bit more about the method that I've been using. And the very method I've been using is pretty interesting because it really takes you from A to Z to assist you land a remote job. And that's pretty much what changed everything. I will send you by email as well an article where I tell people how I landed my own remote job. But truth be told, when I got to get a systemic approach in there, it really helped me get to the next level and really helped me get to assist more people. And I want to tell you about the 4 different steps I've been using so far. So the 4 different steps that I find work amazingly well for people in your situation, my friends, is number 1, finding opportunities. Number 2, getting ready to apply and understanding what it takes. Number 3 is applying remotely and how to do that in particular, because it's a little bit of a sport. And number 4, which people often don't think about enough, is acing remote interviews. When you get on a virtual chat with someone, how do you ace those interviews? Cool, so I see a few people in chat say yes, that feels absolutely great. Because I want to remind you that remote work rocks and it can absolutely transform your life. You can do it right now, which is what I love most about this, because nothing is theory. This is all what I did, along with tons of other people. 25,000 people tuned in. What will you do? It's all about taking action and following a system. I want to remind you as well the benefits of remote work, because it has truly transformed my life. I don't commute anymore. I have flexible hours as well, which is really, really cool. I get to live in the place that makes me the happiest. Sometimes it's here in Paris, France. Sometimes I travel as well, which is absolutely awesome. I get to spend more time with the people I love, with my parents, for instance. And also I get to work my own way, and I love making the rules. Now, I'm not too sure why you came here today. It could be that you took tons of interviews and it didn't quite work out. That can happen. It could be that you want to start living in your own terms. It could be that you want to spend more time with the people you love. Or it could be that you're bored and you feel like spending some time with me on Thursday, which is absolutely great as well. If there's one thing to take away today as well, is that I've cracked up the code of finding, applying, and landing a remote job at startups. It has changed my personal world and the world of my students. And luckily, it's very much something you can replicate, as proven by my students as well. What I really enjoy about this is that you can make a living to create the freedom you want in a relatively short term as well. It's not like in 10 years' time. So the obvious question is, how can you apply the code and system for applying to remote jobs? And there you have a choice. You can do it slow, using trials and errors, taking some of what I've shared today, which is absolutely doable. It takes a lot of time, but it's doable. Or you can do it quickly by joining my 4-module Remotive Bootcamp program. Remotive Bootcamp is a program I created that is all about modeling. Check out this quote. If you want to be successful, find someone who has achieved the results you want and copy what they do. You will achieve the same results or similar results. Tony Robbins. I really like this quote because this is what happened to me, my friends. I found someone I looked up to. I followed their footsteps, and as a result, I landed a remote job that changed my life. So what is this bootcamp I'm starting to tell you about? It's my complete step-by-step system to finding, applying, and interviewing for a remote startup job. And I've been through training before, so I made sure that there's no ambiguity, no confusion in there. It's the fastest way to get from point A to point B, meaning it's a shortcut. It's very much a shortcut. I'm a cyclist myself. I love cycling. And I can tell you that this is the fast lane. This is what gets you from A to B the fastest. I've been working on this for months. And this is a 12-video step-by-step digital course that walks you through the 4 modules. You can log in 24/7 and complete it in your own time. Maybe you want to binge watch it. Maybe you want to take your time. That's up to you. It's all digital, lifetime access, of course, and nothing is left out here. So what will you learn there? Well, you'll learn how to find really good opportunities. First, how can you find the best job offers on the internet for people working in tech, for people working in startup? Also, where can you find jobs that are not advertised anywhere else? I also want to tell you about what it takes to succeed and how to avoid scams. You see, I run a very large community and it's a surprising number of very experienced people, to tell the truth, that have been scammed at some point as well. So I'll tell you how to avoid this. Second module is about getting ready to apply. And I've spent a lot of time nailing this. It's about discovering your unfair advantage as a remote worker. I tell you all about becoming an expert in your field, which is about our personal branding, of course. I tell you about how to create a portfolio with concrete example that I comment myself. And I'll tell you how to reverse engineer your job search to become a top candidate. Now, then we're going to the meaty part of it all. How can you craft a unique application that makes you stand out? How can we do the opposite of spray and pray together? You'll understand and use advanced networking techniques that were taught to me by professors at Google, but also professor from Wharton Business School. I will tell you everything you need to know about how to apply. It's a step-by-step guide. And also, I have an applied exercise on how to look for a job. Number 4, acing interviews. How can you interview like a pro? I'll tell you about preparation. I'll tell you about what top candidates do during interviews, including how to answer tricky questions that may be asked along the way, and also how can you set yourself apart after the interview, which is very much undervalued. So how can you follow up? How can you be a great candidate? And don't only take it from me, it's a team effort. I have a very collaborative personality, so this bootcamp has been reviewed by 25 Remotive community members. And they made over 500 different comments to improve this. So this is my experience overlaid with the knowledge of the community, the wisdom of the remote crowd already working remotely. And I want to share with you two stories that happened in August 2017. So I'm not giving you examples from back in the days. I'm telling you about what happened this month. First, I want you to meet Courtney Burton. She lives in Brooklyn, New York, and she was a lead product designer at Kickstarter. She joined Remotive Bootcamp in June 2017, and she followed along every single step. She's been very active in our community, and I couldn't be more excited and delighted to share with you today that she's now a remote product designer working for Automatic. For those of you who are not familiar with Automatic, this is the largest and the most prestigious, the hardest to get into remote startup that I've ever came across. So I couldn't be happier for Courtney that successfully graduated from bootcamp and landed a job as a remote worker at Automatic. Congratulations, Courtney. Now I want to tell you about what happened recently in August 2017 in the community as well. You see, Emily is a longtime member of the community. Her trade is data science, and she had a remote job that wasn't going so well. One day, she started to strike a conversation with people that work at Todoist, which is a remote team, and those people are present within our community. She started to talk with them, and they found her so great at what she did that they offered her to take interviews. And a little bit later, she announced to us that it was her first day as part of the Todoist team. So Emily is a remote data scientist, thanks to our community today. And you can see that 16 people reacted to be very happy about about the news. And we are a community. So a week later, I asked Emily about how her work was doing. So she replied, she said, well, thank you, everyone. I'm just wrapping up my first week today. And when she said that, 2 more people in our community said that they're just wrapping up the second week of their new remote job. So we have a cool community surrounded by people that are getting started, that are finding their feet, that are becoming successful remote workers, which is absolutely amazing. And I made some screenshots for you of what just happened over the last 2 weeks, over the month of August. There's a lot on the screen. There are 4 screenshots. There's Maria, there's Sarah, there are Juan, and Guillaume as well. So those 4 good people are all living in a different country, and all 4 of them landed remote jobs with Sign Easy, with a brand, with Telefonica, and with Bonsai. These all happen in the month of August, which I'm very, very excited about. So how can you replicate this success? How can you be the next person to tell me in the community, Rodolphe, I landed this remote startup job and I'm starting my first week today, okay? How can you be that person? Well, what are the next steps and how much will this cost you? Truth be told, I could be selling this course for $5,000 or more and it'd be worth it. Why is that? Because the strategies I get to share can change your career, and your salary is a component of wealth that compounds every year. So you can get more money if you change your directory right now. And it can help you create income for years and years and years. To give you an example, when I landed my own remote job, I had a contract for $98,000 per year. 3 years later, when I decided to leave the company to focus on Remotive, I was making $128,000 per year. So if you change your directory and you're good at what you do by getting promoted, you can get more money through doing that as well. I will also argue that not taking action prevents you from making money. So what are you going to be paying for this? Not $10,000, not even $2,000. I want to make this available and flexible. So you will get unlimited access to Remotive Bootcamp for a mere $197. Because I've been surrounded by people that, just like myself, did not quite know what to do, and I want to make sure I can help a maximum amount of people, okay? And yes, you get the whole thing. This is not going to be dripping every week. This is not limited. You get instant lifetime access to the entire course right away, okay? And since we're together, since we're interacting today, I'm also throwing in 3 yummy bonuses with immediate access. The first one is that you get a lifetime access to our Remotive Slack community, in which you find 600 new friends, where we discuss things such as remote work, how to land jobs, and pretty cool and personal stuff as well, such as check out Mike here. He said, "Good morning, I just dropped my first daughter off at kindergarten for the first time." And other parents started interacting on this in the community. So we're like a big family, and we love to welcome new members that care for each other there. The second bonus I want to share with you is my YouTube MBA guide. You see, I spent the last 10 years working on personal development, and I've created a list of 80 must-watch videos that I'm sharing in business school, okay? So those videos are summing up a course I teach at business school for which people pay over $1,500. So that you get to learn from the best, you get inspired as well, and you can progress as a professional there. Third, last but not least, I don't only want to tell you my part of the story in remote teams. I don't only want to connect you with the community. I also want to connect with people that are in the position of hiring you. So I'm throwing in 3 exclusive interviews. Those are never seen before. Those are not available publicly. Those 3 videos are interviews from executives and HR professionals from remote teams. Here, the picture you get to see is Alan. Alan is the COO, the number 2 of the remote team called Doist. And Alan shared with me through this 23-minute video that is ready to hire people that are self-taught, that are right out of college as well. So by listening to the wisdom of people that are in position to hire you, you will be much better off. I also want to guarantee you that this is the best product we could ever come with. So Adrian, who's present in the YouTube chat right now, is leading our customer service. We have a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee policy. If you're not happy for any reason, you get your money back. We don't ask for your firstborn. We don't ask for crazy thing. We trust that the content, we trust that the community, we trust that the experts that are the best in the business that you get to interact with through those videos are absolutely what you need to succeed there. Also, I want to throw in one last big bonus, only for people attending this live webinar today, right now on YouTube. I've created a stash of articles and resources that are the absolutely best collection of articles on remote work, on productivity, on landing job, everything I could get my hands on since 2014, okay? It's a big spreadsheet. It's very meaty. It's a lot of suggestions and articles. It's the very best I could come up with. And if you register today, I will throw that in. That's only valid if you register during this webinar. So here it is. The link you may want to follow is learn.remotive.io. That's where you're going to find Remotive Bootcamp, and you get those 5 things. Lifetime access to all my best material. Special bonus number 1, lifetime access to our Slack community. Special bonus number 2, my YouTube MBA list, valued $1,500 if you were to attend my business school. Bonus number 3, 3 remote leaders interviews. This is priceless, not available anywhere else, never seen before. And number 4, access to Remotive Stash, which is a bunch of my best links. You get lifetime access, 30-day, 100% money back guaranteed. Here is exactly what is going to happen, okay? You're going to get to this link, which is going to be featuring my store and Remotive Bootcamp. All you have to do is to click on the picture, and then you get access to the material. So you click on Get Access for $197. All you have to do is to enter your email right now, and then you pay, and you're in. It's as simple as that. You enter your email, you just pay up the fee, and you're in. And again, if you're registering this webinar, you get the live bonus. By the way, I've already preloaded all the bonuses. So I want to make sure you get immediate and lifetime access to it all. So I'm not dripping it, I'm giving it all to you right now because I know that you are great people. I know that you play by the rules as well. So I'm very happy to give you all access. And you know what the good news is? Do you know what the good news is? Just one remote startup job can completely change the way you live and you work. Since I started to work remotely, I moved cities. I traveled to 20+ countries, and I spend more time with my family. Regardless if you already work at a startup before, or if you wish to use these techniques for the very first time, it will be great for you. Regardless of whether you've tried applying before, and even if you didn't go so well, or if you've never tried before, this is something you can try right now. Because it all starts with taking action. Remember, you can take it slow, do trials and errors. It may take you several months, several years. Or you can follow the step-by-step system, Remotive Bootcamp, just like Courtney did. It is the shortcut. Okay, friends, here is the gist. We are going to be together and doing Q&As for 10 minutes. So if you want in on this offer, this is a limited time offer. You can sign up on learn.remotive.io. Okay? This is what's going to happen. And now I'm going to take question and answers. So if you have any question for me, Adrian's going to send them to me so that I can answer those as well. At the very end of this, we will make sure to do a Q&A, the giveaway part. And the giveaway, remember, is me answering any of your three questions in length by email, by long form format, so nothing on the fly like right now. It's a lot of time I'll be dedicating to your answers to prep you for anything you like, okay? So now if you want to ask any question, I'll be happy to take those for the next 9 minutes or so. You can also visit learn.remotive.io to check out our bootcamp. I'm gonna get some water. I always love talking about, I guess, bootcamp and community. I get very excited about those things. It's just so fantastic to see people finally landing their remote jobs. And I guess a game changer for me as a remote worker is that when people in the morning just show up and start saying good morning to other people that are either working remotely or looking for a job, that changes how your day is going to go. That changes it because it's absolutely awesome to start the day with friends that are present for you. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Cool. So let's talk about a question that just came in about how many marketing positions are there and how specific you need to get in these. So I see a lot of marketing positions are available. SEO marketing is a big one. I see content marketing is a very big one as well, which is pretty sweet. Oftentimes it depends on your trade, really. So what I like to do is understand what a startup needs, because marketing is so vast. Maybe they're talking about growth hacking, which is all by the numbers. Maybe they want you to write articles, which is content marketing. Maybe they want you to bring in some sweet ROI, which is all about SEO. So I really would advise you to think about which one it is, okay? Which one specifically you want to get into. I have seen Guillaume from our community who landing a marketing gig just last week remotely. So I'll say that engineering has a lot of jobs available, support as well, and marketing has a good amount of them too. Someone else is asking me, I have 10+ years of experience. I feel I've been adding too many skill sets. Can you give specific marketing craft and drilling down that has worked for others? Same as before. if you know exactly what you do, you can showcase it. If you're a content marketing person, you should blog about it. That has to be my #1 advice for you all out there. If you have a non-technical position, the important thing for you is to blog about your efforts in order to put your skills out there. It's really, really important we do that. Cool. I'm getting asked if you are already in the Slack community, can we arrange something? Yes, we can arrange something if you're already part of the community. We'll check that with Adrian after the webinar. Another question, how difficult is it for a remote job to find a remote job with a startup based in Europe if you don't have EU work permission? Well, funnily enough, I've been in the opposite situation whereby I've been in a situation where I was in Europe working for the US. So oftentimes what happens is that company lets you set your own entity. What's going to happen is they're not going to have you as a local employee, but they're going to add you as a contractor. So that often works. That's often a way to let to let people get hired from different places. So it's really down to the startup in particular, but oftentimes I would say that it doesn't matter where you are. If you're good enough at what you do, you can make a business case on why you should get hired in the first place. You can really sell yourself on why they should hire you. You know, you can. That's a perfect use case, actually, of why you need to be present in the bootcamp and the Remotive community overall. Because you want to get to meet other people that have already been in the situation, and they can assist you with different angles. I give you my angles, but there are so many different angles they can give you in order to convince the company to hire you regardless of where you are. I also had a question about the most common remote job opening. Well, engineering is really much the skill that opened up the entire remote work environment. So engineering is by far the most in demand right now. That being said, I've seen people getting jobs in all different parts of the spectrum. So it's not because engineering is big by volume that you don't get other things. Customer support is absolutely huge. Marketing is absolutely huge. Designer is a great one as well. There's a very, very big shortage of designers in remote teams right now. So a lot of people are wondering whether, they're going to get enough talented designers by the end of the day. So if you're a designer looking for a remote job, that's a very, very cool position to be in. Checking other questions here. Oh, so someone asking me, does this deal disappear after the time runs out? Well, the big webinar bonus is going the way after this webinar runs out. If the tech gods are with us today, I will try to get a recording of what we've just done together, so that if you didn't catch everything, if it wasn't, if it was too fast, or if you want to watch mistake number 2, if you want to think about mistake number 1 again, you will get to watch the recording if tech works. I'm still praying for that. Now, what's going to happen is this. By email, I'm going to keep this offer open. The offer is Remotive Bootcamp. I'm going to keep it open just a little bit more, okay? For a handful of days. You will still be able to access the recording, the webinar recording, for a few more days. And after that, I will take it off, and the $197 offer will come down as well. So those two things will come down after a little bit of time. But it will still be up and available by email for a little bit more. The big webinar bonus, unfortunately, is going to go away very, very soon. So, question asked: Can we keep this open for the next 3 days? Well, through the email I will send you, we will keep it open a little bit longer. The big discount is already baked in. $197 is already the big baked in discount. You are thinking about landing a remote job that is probably going to pay you upwards of $30, $40, $50,000, depending what you're going to be working on. And sky is the limit. So when you think about investing less than $200 in your career, in yourself, in a community that will be supporting you towards becoming a better professional, this is probably the best value you can ever find on advancing your career as a talented remote worker. So 197 is already a pretty cool deal. All right, my friend, here's what's going to happen right now. We're going to do the giveaway because I really appreciate you being you've been following this for the entire duration. We are going to do the giveaway now. It's very, very simple. For you good people in the YouTube chat, all you need to do if you want to enter the giveaway, and as a reminder, the giveaway is me answering by email any 3 questions you have within my own abilities. I will spend a lot of time answering your questions, and I will be as thorough as possible. So if that's your thing, if I can help you, what I want you to do right now is to put in the chat your favorite animal emoji, okay? We're gonna wait for 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes, Adrian is gonna come in the chat and pick a person by random, and one of the animal emoji you're gonna put in the chat is gonna win, okay? So this is what's gonna happen right now. Adrian is gonna help me pick a winner, and we'll give it another minute, and in a minute we'll just stop and we'll have a winner. The winner will be in touch with Adrian, who's gonna help organizing next steps, and we'll be in touch by email together with me. So now, whenever Adrian picks a winner, we'll just send me a little message and we'll know who's won. Before we get the winner, I really want to thank you for attending this session. I could not be more excited about everything that has been going on in our community in August 2017. I could not be more thankful for how many people have been landing remote job, and I could not be more excited again for the future of the community, for the future of this bootcamp that I keep updating as I go along. I keep adding content, I keep interviewing people, you get lifetime access to the material. I really want you to be successful. That's why I'm putting my heart and my back into it. That's why I have this very, very lenient reimbursement policy as well. If you put your work towards it, it will work for you as well. So I've got the answer from Adrian, Mike Darsh. Mike Darsh, you are the winner. We loved your dragon. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Mike, Adrian will be in touch with you by email. Thank you so much for attending, and I hope to see you in the bootcamp. You will hear from me by email. You will get the slides. You will get some news from me, and hopefully, if tech allows, you'll get the recording as well. Be well, my friends, and I wish you a tremendous Thursday.